The story begins in the forest of beasts in Yangnam Nation. A man with bruises all over his body was running desperately, holding a crying baby in his arms. His thoughts were filled with determination as he silently urged the baby to remain quiet, emphasizing the need for silence to survive. Finding a secluded spot behind a tree, the man addressed the baby, acknowledging the challenges they had faced together. Despite the lack of rest and proper meals for days, he expressed pride in the baby's resilience. The man subtly hinted at the baby's noble heritage, alluding to the importance of being the son of the head of the house. But he stopped himself from revealing which son of the head of the house the baby truly was. The baby gazed up at the man with a smile on its face. The man, in a moment of desperation, spoke to the baby, asking if it recognized him and requesting punishment for his actions. Feeling inadequate, he tore his clothes, balled them up, and stuffed them into the baby's mouth to silence its cries. With determination in his eyes, the man emphasized the importance of the baby's survival above all else. He then tied the baby to a tree branch using some clothes. With a heavy heart, he fled, leaving the baby swinging in the breeze. The following day, an old man strolled through the forest with a bird that mimicked the sound of a crying baby. Startled, the old man chuckled and wondered where the bird learned to make such sounds, considering it might be a trick from a magical creature in Warcraft. To his surprise, the old man discovered a baby hanging from a tree branch. As he gently took the baby into his arms, the baby began to cry. The old man, puzzled by the presence of a newborn in the perilous forest of beasts, decided it would be unsafe even if a ghost were to appear. He resolved to bring the baby to the ghost village for safety. As the old man arrived at the ghost village, he was greeted by another man who expressed relief that he returned unharmed. The old man confirmed the existence of the baby, revealing that it was a boy. Impressed by the miraculous presence of the child, the other man pondered how such a young infant ended up in the dangerous forest of beasts. The old man philosophically responded, noting that everyone in the forest had a tale to tell, and even this newborn, less than 100 days old, surely had an untold story of his own. As they entered the ghost village, the old man instructed the others to gather around to introduce the new family member, the baby. The old man then encouraged his companion to greet the baby, explaining that the child would now be staying with them. One man inquired about the old man's activities outside and how he ended up bringing the baby back. Slightly puzzled, the old man asked if the man was insinuating that the baby was his own child. The man clarified that it was evident the baby wasn't his, implying that they would all be raising the child together. The old man expressed gratitude for the group's understanding that they would be raising the child together, acknowledging that it was a task too significant for him to handle alone. However, one man raised concerns about whether they should simply raise the child or also educate him. He candidly admitted that he couldn't raise a child due to his physical limitations and had no desire to teach. He made it clear that the child's presence had no connection to him. In response, another man criticized the first for being cold-hearted, noting that even after becoming handicapped, he remained arrogant. The old man, addressing Julian, urged him not to be unkind. He pointed out that in their group, everyone was handicapped in some way, as everyone's Niden, an internal alchemy technique for prolonging life and creating an immortal spiritual body, was broken. Julian, somewhat surprised, reminded the old man that they had agreed not to mention or inquire about each other's identities in the ghost village. He questioned whether the old man was now revealing his own identity unexpectedly. Julian proudly shared his past as a charming Casanova who captivated many hearts and was renowned for his medical expertise and Yandan technique, a Chinese alchemy related to understanding medicine and the body. He insinuated that his skills might remind the old man of his own medical and herbal medicinal knowledge. In response, the old man, known as Leo, humorously remarked that Julian was skilled at making jokes. Leo revealed his own identity as the judge of life and death, leaving his companions surprised by this revelation. Leo confessed that he had kept his identity hidden but could no longer conceal it from the others, mentioning that the four companions already knew each other's identities except for his. Samuel introduced himself as the master of secret techniques, expressing regret for not revealing his name earlier. Julian, feeling compelled to follow suit after Leo's revelation, disclosed his identity as the thief known as the Goblin Bandit. Grant simply stated his name as Grant. Julian, recognizing him, exclaimed that Grant must be the blacksmith known as the Golden Hands. Julian sympathized with the frustration Grant might have felt in only being able to make wooden hoes with his exceptional abilities. As they all turned to look at the handicapped man, he remained silent. Leo inquired if the others could guess why he had revealed his identity. Samuel speculated that Leo's intentions might be to take the child as their disciple. Leo confirmed this assumption, explaining that while they had turned to a life of crime due to their broken Niden, it was different for the child. Samuel questioned if it was right for the child to accompany them to survive in the forest of beasts. Leo agreed, acknowledging the necessity for the child to stick with them for survival in their challenging environment. Julian expressed the importance of first confirming the child's physical abilities before proceeding. Leo, confident in his own methods, reminded the group of his capabilities. He emphasized the child's exceptional physique and proposed that they work together to nurture his potential before their time runs out. Leo then asked if anyone had objections to this plan, but the group remained silent, indicating their agreement. Leo revealed a ring to the group, mentioning that it was with the baby. He asked if any of them had seen it before. Julian, intrigued by the ring, remarked that it didn't appear ordinary and requested a closer inspection. After examining the ring, Julian noted that if infused with spiritual energy, it should exhibit some changes. Julian suggested that Grant might be able to recognize that the ring was crafted from the finest grade of meteorite. Samuel, on the other hand, pointed out that on the inner side of the ring, the verse, "The altar of holy fire, the start of pure soil," was engraved. He interpreted this verse to signify a conflict between new and old powers, where the altar that lit the sacred flame would fall, ushering in a pure world. Julian inquired if Samuel had a specific place in mind, to which Samuel responded that he was unsure. Leo and Grant also mentioned they didn't have any ideas. The handicapped man remained silent throughout the conversation. Leo then questioned if it was significant whether they were unfamiliar with the organization. He emphasized that they didn't distinguish between good and evil, and therefore the child shouldn't either. Julian agreed with Leo's perspective. Leo declared that the most important task remaining was to name the child. Julian, acknowledging Leo as the eldest, suggested that Leo should decide on the child's name. Leo, after looking at the child, began to recount his own story. He shared how he once had 2 daughters and a son who fell ill. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with his son when he needed him the most as he was fulfilling a duty, and upon his return, he was unable to save his son. Leo questioned the purpose of being the magistrate of life and death if he couldn't save his own child. Samuel expressed his condolences upon hearing Leo's heartbreaking tale. Samuel suggested that the child may have been reincarnated to become someone remarkable like Leo. Surprised, Leo questioned what was so extraordinary about an alchemist like himself. Samuel pointed out that Leo had saved many lives through his medical practice, regardless of their status, describing it as a great deed. Leo humbly downplayed his actions, noting that there were far more people he couldn't treat than those he could. Leo lifted the baby, recalling another child he once buried with his own hands named Theo. Considering the ring made of meteorite left with this child, Leo proposed the name Theodore for the baby. Julian, respecting Leo's suggestion, agreed to the name. Grant also expressed his agreement, and Samuel complimented the choice as a good name. The handicapped man, distancing himself from being the child's master, left the decision to the others. Leo watched over the baby, now named Theodore, with a sense of responsibility and care. In his excitement, Leo made a grand announcement, assigning roles to each member of the group. He declared himself as Leo, the magistrate of life and death, Samuel as the master of secret techniques, Grant as the golden hands, and Julian as the goblin bandit, all tasked with caring for young Theodore. Leo planned to teach Theodore various skills, including medical expertise, the Dan extraction technique for potion making, knowledge of medicinal herbs, and the poison arts technique. Additionally, he intended to pass on the rare and coveted craftsmanship of the River of Thirst. Julian, taken aback by the mention of the craftsmanship of the River of Thirst, expressed astonishment and disbelief at how Leo had acquired knowledge of this rare technique that could only be learned through the orb from the Blood Fortress. Samuel, acknowledging the significance of the craftsmanship of the River of Thirst, expressed his awe at the unparalleled spiritual power it possessed. Samuel then vowed to impart his knowledge and techniques to young Theodore, focusing on identifying ghosts and taming beasts. Leo, curious about Samuel's teaching approach, inquired if he planned to withhold any knowledge from Theodore. Samuel reassured Leo that he intended to teach Theodore everything, including advanced spells like the Void of Space spell, Shadow Concealment spell, and Imaginary Formation spell. Julian praised Samuel and Leo for passing on such valuable knowledge and skills. Turning to Grant, he inquired if he felt burdened by the responsibilities. Grant reassured Julian, stating that he would teach Theodore how to make mystical tools. Julian, taken aback by Grant's revelation, expressed surprise and disbelief, questioning if Grant had misspoken. Grant, with a smile of amazement, confirmed that he was indeed capable of making mystical tools. Julian, reflecting on his own skills, humorously admitted that his expertise lay in stealing and escaping. Nonetheless, he highlighted techniques like flash steps and hovering steps as valuable skills, along with the dirt escape technique and self-shrinking technique, which he believed would be beneficial to Theodore. Leo acknowledged Julian's skills as desirable for other alchemists, encouraging him to guide Theodore well. Julian affirmed his commitment to doing so. As they all gazed at the baby, Julian amusingly remarked to Theodore that he had unknowingly gained 4 masters to guide and teach him. Julian, noticing the handicapped man, approached him while letting him see the baby. He remarked on the situation, highlighting that despite not being the child's master, it seemed destined for them to live together until the end. Julian advised the man not to feel obligated to be kind to the child, but urged him not to harbor any hatred. He drew parallels between the man and the child, suggesting that both of them were fated to perish in the forest of beasts. At the full moon village, 10 years later, inside the hut, Leo scolded Theo, instructing him to memorize all the herb names before attempting to leave. Theo, taken aback, exhaled heavily in surprise when Julian suddenly appeared. Julian teased him for his exaggerated exhale, playfully calling him a rascal. Theodore, now 10 years old, greeted Julian as the 4th master in their group. Julian inquired if Theo had been scolded once more for not being able to memorize the herb names. Theo admitted to feeling foolish for his struggles. Julian reassured Theo, stating that it wasn't a matter of intelligence but rather a question of how well he could grasp the teachings of the other masters. Julian suggested that since Leo was very intelligent himself, he likely foresaw this outcome. Theo acknowledged Julian's perspective with a simple okay. Julian shared some wisdom with Theo, explaining that as people grow older, it's natural for them to have more concerns. He advised Theo not to blame himself or harbor resentment towards Senior Leo. Theo, feeling melancholic, questioned if the first master wouldn't be able to live much longer. Julian, referring to Senior Leo, explained that as an alchemist who had lived for 800 years, it might be time for him to rest. Julian mentioned that with a broken Niden, Senior Leo was simply an old man, so it was expected that he would age. Julian encouraged Theo to show more enthusiasm for Leo's teachings, suggesting that it would bring ease to Leo as well. Theo responded with a simple okay. Julian praised Theo for his kindness and inquired about what the masters had taught him. Theo responded by stating that he had learned to always be kind, believe in himself, remain suspicious of others, and never fully trust them. Julian then surprised Theo by revealing nectarines he had hidden in his clothes and offered them to Theo. Excited, Theo recognized the fruit and marveled at receiving 3 of them, questioning if Julian had gone outside. Julian humbly shared that he was fortunate to have found the nectarines and even caught a goat during his time outside. Theo, excitedly expressing his desire to go outside, was abruptly interrupted by Julian, who firmly stated, no. Julian then quizzed Theo on what the first master had taught. Theo recalled that he had to break through the gates of heaven before leaving the full moon village. Impressed by Theo's understanding, Julian reminded him that he had learned the craftsmanship of the River of Thirst, which should enable him to master heavenly birth swiftly. Julian encouraged Theo to study diligently while he went to gather more nectarines. Theo happily acknowledged Julian as his master with a yes, master. At night, Theo, feeling very sleepy while memorizing herb names, was startled by the sound of a goat bleeding. As he looked out the window, Theo saw the handicapped man feeding the goat using his feet. Eager to assist, Theo offered his help. The man, however, insisted that he could manage and suggested Theo could stroke the goat if he wanted to help. Theo happily agreed, saying okay, and proceeded to stroke the goat. Theo mentioned that he had heard the goat was caught from the outside, implying that there were many intriguing things beyond their village. Curious about the outside world, he questioned if it was truly as dangerous as people claimed. The handicapped man gravely warned Theo, stating that someone as young and inexperienced as him would likely lose their life within just 1 hour in the outside world. He emphasized that this was precisely why the masters were so committed to teaching and preparing Theo for the challenges beyond. Feeling disheartened by the man's words, Theo quietly agreed, acknowledging the potential dangers awaiting him. The man invited Theo to sit beside him, acknowledging Theo's intelligence in learning the craftsmanship of the River of Thirst. However, the man pointed out that Theo struggled with memorization. Theo agreed with the man's observation. The man then instructed Theo that the sentence he was about to share should be deeply engraved in his heart, recited 3 times before sleeping and upon waking up. Theo responded with an affirmative yes, and the man, emphasizing the importance of the task, instructed Theo to stop talking and focus on memorizing the sentence, proceeding to mumble the words for Theo to learn. The man reassured Theo that he would continue to repeat the sentence until Theo could memorize it, encouraging him not to feel pressured. Grateful for the man's support, Theo responded happily with a thank you. The man then emphasized that the information he shared was a secret, to which Theo responded cheerfully with an okay. 5 years later, at the age of 15, Theo confidently recited the ingredients and process to make a fire pill, a combination of immersive medicine, fermented ginger, mountain herb, and salt porridge. He explained the proportions and the importance of controlling the heat during the process. The overall ingredients combination is salt porridge 4, immersive herb 2, fermented ginseng 7, mountain herb 3. After that, carefully use magic to control the heat. If the heat is too strong, the medicine will dry and crack. If the heat is too weak, the medicine won't form. Meanwhile, Leo, feeling unwell in bed, acknowledged Theo's progress and expressed that there was nothing left for him to teach. He entrusted Theo to utilize the knowledge he had acquired and to continue training diligently with the other masters. Leo thanked Theo for the enjoyable time they had spent together, emphasizing the importance of listening and training hard even in his absence. Theo, showing respect and gratitude, assured Leo that he would remember his words and continue to train diligently. Leo, feeling the weight of time passing, shared a secret with everyone gathered, revealing that once someone enters the forest of beasts, they never leave, but there is a way out. Julian, shocked by this revelation, questioned the truth of Leo's statement. Samuel, expressing surprise, mentioned that he had never heard of this before and inquired about the method to leave the forest of beasts. Leo recounted his past as a renowned third-generation alchemist in the Blood Fortress of Yongnam Nation. He shared how his medical expertise had attracted people from various walks of life seeking treatment. Among them was a mysterious individual in bandages whose abilities Leo couldn't gauge. This enigmatic person revealed that he had sustained his injuries while attempting to escape the forest of beasts. Inside the cave, a figure named Li Dongjin moved with the aid of a spirit stone. Rumors circulated that the flood dragon resided there, but the individual had allegedly defeated it. Samuel remarked that the location where the flood dragon lived was saturated with spirit aura, whether it be a pond or a volcano. He cautioned that it wouldn't be an easy task for Theo to locate it if he were to leave the forest of beasts. Leo acknowledged Samuel's insight, affirming that their fate was to perish in the forest of beasts, but the situation was different for Theodore. Leo emphasized the urgency for Theo to leave the forest of beasts no matter what and expressed his hope that Theo would repay the favors he received from the masters. In response, Theo vowed to definitely repay the master's kindness, even if it meant facing death in the process. Leo responded by acknowledging the significance of the craftsmanship of the River of Thirst, emphasizing that it was an incredible skill. He advised Theo to study diligently to be able to venture outside. However, Leo noted that the skill was not without its flaws. Julian, shocked by this revelation, exclaimed in disbelief, questioning Leo about teaching Theo a skill with a disadvantage. Leo explained that the imperfection of the craftsmanship of the River of Thirst was that the more one mastered the skill, the harder it became to control. He highlighted the importance of a strong physique to break through the barriers. However, failure to control the skill could result in intense pain and the risk of losing everything one had trained for. Reflecting on his past, Leo shared a personal story where the master of the Blood Fortress sought his help due to the side effects of the skill. In his greed, Leo admitted to stealing the person's skills with the hope of prolonging his life for his newborn daughters. He confessed that his intentions to enter the Heavenly Palace with the skill led to his expulsion to their current location, Full Moon Village. Leo advised Theo that if he managed to leave the Forest of Beasts, he should seek out the real craftsmanship of the River of Thirst. Theo, showing respect, affirmed that he would learn the genuine skill. Leo then instructed Theo to visit the Blood Fortress in Yongnam Nation and deliver news about him to his wife Grace and his 2 daughters, Agnes and Alice. He urged Theo to assist them if they were in any trouble. Theo acknowledged Leo's instructions with a promise to remember them. As Leo closed his eyes, he expressed admiration for Theo, acknowledging his remarkable progress. Leo recognized that there was nothing more he could teach Theo and no other words he wished to impart. He lamented his inability to heal himself and enjoy the wind with Theo before passing away. After Leo's passing, Theo solemnly cremated his body, feeling a mix of sadness and newfound motivation to honor his master's teachings. Theo, now 18 years old, reflected on the teachings he received from the different masters. He mentioned how Samuel taught him tactics for troop deployment, Grant showed him fire control due to lack of materials for weapon making, and Julian instructed him on various useful skills like hovering steps, flash steps, dirt escape, self-shrinking technique, face-changing skill, and great stealth technique. Theo expressed deep gratitude for all the masters for their guidance. Julian, surprised by Theo's sudden reflection, questioned the vague or seemingly absurd nature of Theo's words, wondering if there was a specific concern or worry prompting this reflection from Theo. Theo, in a light-hearted manner, dismissed the idea of having worries, attributing his busy schedule of learning to leaving no time for concerns. He playfully teased Julian about his graying hair, jokingly wondering if pulling out the gray hairs would turn the rest white. Julian, persistent in his inquiry, urged Theo to stop evading the topic and directly share what was troubling him. Noting Theo's frequent sighs, Julian expressed genuine concern about the source of Theo's worries. Theo opened up about his current struggles, expressing the sensation of feeling the gates of heaven beneath his stomach. He described the difficulty he faced in breaking through these gates despite exerting all his spiritual power. Julian, upon hearing this revelation, acknowledged Theo's experience of sensing the gates of heaven. He invited Theo to come and sit beside him, indicating a readiness to listen and offer support. Julian, sitting beside Theo, explained the challenges alchemists face in progressing to the next level, but highlighted that with Theo's mastery of the river of thirst craftsmanship, consistent practice increased the likelihood of breaking through the gates of heaven. Theo, pondering the timing of this breakthrough, expressed concern about not resorting to endurance-enhancing medicine. In a playful manner, Julian lightly punched Theo's head, teasing him for his complaints at the age of 18. Julian emphasized that many individuals either born as alchemists who lived over a century or those unable to achieve heavenly birth had faced significant challenges in their journeys. Julian inquired if Theo had become adept at utilizing the skills to conceal his presence from the magic beasts in the Forest of Beasts. He emphasized the abundance of herbs and magic beasts in the forest, making it easy to find the necessary ingredients for training pills. Theo responded affirmatively, indicating his readiness. Julian instructed Theo not to venture too far, urging him to return before nightfall. He advised Theo to avoid the magic beasts and only gather the specific ingredients needed for the pills before coming back. Theo, with a smile, acknowledged Julian's guidance. Theo, while harvesting in the Forest of Beasts, identified the herbs based on their colors and characteristics. He recognized the Jinryong herbs by their bone-like color, the Gwiggle herbs by their yellow petals, and the yellow Dagoon for its small size and yellow petals. Observing the setting sun, Theo realized the time and decided it was best to head back. Theo, as he leaped through the forest using the hovering step skill, marveled at its speed and efficiency, contrasting it with the limitations in the narrow full moon village. He appreciated the training from the fourth master that enabled him to utilize this skill effectively, feeling relieved to have escaped the village. However, amidst his thoughts, Theo suddenly realized that he had been so focused on collecting herbs for his pills that he had forgotten to bring something for the other masters. Determined to make amends, he decided to catch a chicken or goat to bring back as a token of appreciation. Theo contemplated whether he should search for something from the top of the tree, considering a different vantage point for his task. As he continued his search, Theo's thoughts raced, reminding himself of the urgency to return before sunset. Suddenly, he experienced a peculiar sensation, feeling ticklish. Spotting a goat, Theo jumped down to the ground but was struck by a strange feeling, realizing that this sensation was different from when he first encountered the goat. Theo, with a smile, contemplated the idea that the world wouldn't end tomorrow, realizing he had put himself in unnecessary danger. He considered returning another time to catch the goat. Suddenly, a beast growled from the bushes, and Theo encountered a three-headed beast known as the low-class magic beast 3 Crying Wolves. Despite the imminent threat, Theo maintained a surprising calmness, strategizing to avoid the beasts as he lacked defensive skills. He acknowledged the speed of hovering steps but understood the risk of turning his back to the wolves. preparing to navigate the situation with caution as the beasts approached. Theo swiftly utilized flash steps, acknowledging its energy consumption but appreciating the ability to move rapidly over short distances. With this skill, he calculated that the 3 crying wolves wouldn't be able to attack him. As the wolves growled menacingly, Theo set up a trap while evading the beasts, feeling confident in his preparations. He declared that everything was ready, indicating his readiness to handle the situation. Theo, realizing his lack of attack skills apart from the teachings of the first master, bravely engaged the 3 crying wolves. With a decisive strike, he created a fatal blow, successfully taking down the beast. Reflecting on his victory, Theo expressed gratitude to his masters for their teachings. However, he also acknowledged that he had broken his promise not to engage in combat with the magic beasts. Samuel, coughing, and Julian, visibly frustrated, reacted to Theo's actions. With his hands on his head, internally expressed exasperation at Theo's behavior. Theo, realizing his mistake, bowed down and offered his apologies to the masters. Julian, in a fit of scolding, admonished Theo for his disobedience, emphasizing that his age as 18 years old did not excuse disregarding the master's orders and bringing back a magic beast. Julian warned Theo that he was fortunate to escape repercussions this time. Theo attempted to explain his actions to Julian, but Julian was not willing to hear any excuses, scolding him for daring to make justifications. Samuel, curious about Theo's situation, inquired if this was his first time venturing outside. Theo confirmed that it was indeed his first time. Samuel further questioned Theo about the reason for leaving, to which Theo explained that while he remembered he could only leave after achieving heavenly birth, he saw no indication of the gates of heaven opening. Therefore, he sought to expedite the process by collecting ingredients for a medicine that could aid in the breakthrough. Samuel inquired about Theo's experience outside, prompting Theo to share that he encountered abundant herbs and had a confrontation with the 3 crying wolves, which he found not particularly perilous. He described the intense sensation he felt when using hovering steps, likening it to his heart being torn open. Samuel then turned to Grant, asking if he believed he could craft a flag from the bones and leather of the 3 crying wolves. Grant nodded in agreement, eliciting a smile from Samuel. Samuel, tapping Theo on the shoulder, shared his perspective, suggesting that Theo might start feeling like the full moon village was confining and frustrating, potentially developing resentment towards the masters who restricted him from going outside. Theo, however, denied feeling that way, expressing his respect for the masters. Samuel explained that it was natural for Theo to feel resentment when prevented from pursuing his desires. He reassured Theo that the masters also wished to witness his journey through heavenly birth, acknowledging the challenges and dangers of breaking through the barrier. Samuel expressed their collective desire to guide Theo towards becoming a heavenly birthed alchemist as long as they were alive. Excited and happy, Theo responded, seeking confirmation from Samuel, who reassured him by asking if he had ever lied to him, to which Theo affirmed that Samuel had never deceived him. Samuel decided that the 3rd master, Grant, would be responsible for creating the flag. He informed Theo that if he could successfully use the shadow concealment spell with the flag, he would permit Theo to go outside. Excitedly, Theo grabbed Grant's arm, urging him to make the flag swiftly. He expressed confidence that with more practice, he could master the shadow concealment spell quickly. Samuel chuckled at Theo's eagerness and playful antics. Theo, employing his internal energy, controlled the fire with his chi to shape a dagger as instructed by Grant. Grant emphasized the importance of mastering fire control when crafting a tool, urging Theo to maintain focus until the completion of the task. Grant advised Theo to begin his journey by hunting numerous low-class magic beasts with the dagger, gathering more materials and refining his skills. He then directed Theo to cool down the sword by blowing on it using the wind of determination. Theo proceeded to use the wind of determination to cool down the sword, following Grant's guidance diligently. Theo inquired if the dagger he crafted could be considered a dharma tool, associating dharma with cosmic law and order. Grant clarified that the dagger was simply a tool and did not meet the standards of even the lowest level of dharma tools. Curious about the time frame to create the lowest level of dharma tool with consistent practice, Theo asked Grant. Grant responded that it would take approximately 3 years of dedicated practice to achieve that level. Grant assured Theo that he would start making the 12 flags immediately, allowing Theo to rest. Theo expressed his desire to utilize the herbs he collected to create herbal medicines, indicating his reluctance to rest. Grant suggested that since a single dagger might not suffice for Theo's needs, they should make more tools that could offer protection. Theo eagerly agreed to Grant's suggestion, showing enthusiasm for the task ahead. Theo proudly announced the completion of his first herbal medicine after 5 attempts, expressing the complexity of the process that led him to utilize all the herbs he had collected. Reflecting on the meticulous nature of creating herbal pills, Theo realized that even a slight error in factors like the amount of herbal plants, dryness, fire temperature, or grinding method could jeopardize the successful production of the pills. Theo, contemplating the pill of 9 beliefs, designed to eliminate toxins from the body, wondered about its potential impact on him. Curious about the pill's effectiveness, he decided to consume it to assess its effects. As he consumed the pill, Theo pondered whether this progress would contribute to his eventual breakthrough to the gates of heaven. Theo was busy making herbal pills when Julian peeked through the door and mistook it for cooking. Julian questioned if Theo had enough materials for the pills, leading Theo to express his frustration at Julian's inconsistent words and actions. Julian tried to remind Theo of the effort he made to persuade the masters to let Theo go outside by teaching him flash steps and hovering steps. Theo was surprised by Julian's claims and questioned their authenticity. Despite Julian's internal admission of deceit, he assured Theo that he did indeed support him in going outside. Julian then informed Theo that Grant had finished making the flags, prompting them to go together. Theo was excited by the news and eagerly prepared for the upcoming journey. Samuel suggested they go outside to inspect the situation, and Theo, acknowledging him as the second master, agreed. Curious about his performance, Theo inquired if he had opened the portal correctly. Samuel praised Grant's remarkable flags and commended Theo for his flawless formation technique. He assured Theo that once equipped with a decent weapon, he could venture outside without restrictions. Proudly displaying his 2 daggers and 8 small daggers, Theo sought confirmation from Samuel if this arsenal was sufficient for his journey. Theo found himself in the forest of beasts, reflecting on the change in the environment. For the past 3 months, he had been exploring the area near Full Moon Village and encountering low-class magic beasts everywhere. However, on this occasion he couldn't spot a single one. Grant, adopting a serious tone, instructed Theo that the time had come to start crafting his dharma tools and advised him to gather some spirit stones. Theo contemplated the nature of spirit stones. He understood that spirit stones were naturally occurring stones abundant in spiritual energy, often found in locations like mountains where the sun never sets or underground. Theo decided to venture further, eager to explore the mountain ahead. As he gazed at the majestic mountain, he marveled at its grandeur, realizing its vastness seemed never-ending. Theo speculated that such a remarkable location should harbor valuable herbs or spirit stones. In his thoughts, Theo acknowledged the convenience of utilizing sky navigation for exploration but lamented that he had yet to undergo heavenly rebirth, hindering his ability to do so. Theo stretched his body and resolved to climb the mountain using only his bare hands. In his mind, he realized that despite the continuous climb, he didn't feel fatigued, attributing his endurance to the herbal pills he had made and consumed. Observing the scattered growth of grass around, he speculated that there must be herbs in the vicinity. Spotting a particular herb, Theo identified it as the elusive flower of heartbreak. As he gazed upward, he was taken aback by the discovery of a rare herb, filling him with surprise and excitement. Theo's thoughts raced as he realized that where there were herbs, magic beasts were likely to be present. To his surprise, he encountered a low-class magic beast known as the Sutra Beast. Attempting to defend himself, Theo used a stone with an energy burst to strike the large flying beast, but to no avail. In his mind, he recognized the bird-like creature as an evolved intermediate-class beast due to its diet rich in herbs. Sensing the danger, Theo decided to prioritize his safety and retreat, noting the beast's unusual lack of aggression. Speculating that the Sutra Beast refrained from attacking to avoid harming the nearby Flower of Light, Theo viewed the flower as a potential savior in the precarious situation. Theo swiftly plucked the Flower of Light, provoking the magic beast into a furious outburst. Despite its rage, the beast refrained from direct attack. Theo realized he had to divert the beast's attention while avoiding confrontation, leading him to use the flower as a distraction. Feeling the ground was too distant to descend safely, Theo made a quick decision to climb to the top of the mountain to seek refuge. As he ascended, he regretted underestimating the dangers of the forest of beasts and disregarding the warnings of the masters. In a daring move, Theo tossed the flower below him, luring the bird-like beast away as he ascended rapidly to the mountain's peak. aiming to hide and evade any immediate danger. Theo, successfully reaching the mountain's summit, felt a sense of relief, believing he could conceal himself effectively in that location. He promptly activated the shadow concealment spell to further secure his hiding place. As the enraged magic beast bird flew around, Theo grew anxious, recognizing the beast's persistent anger and determination. Suddenly, another formidable magic beast appeared, the Jade Ravine Boar, an intermediate-level fire-breathing jade boar. Caught in the midst of the conflict between the two powerful beasts, Theo found himself in a perilous predicament. The outcome of this dangerous encounter remained uncertain as he stood between the raging creatures.